Welcome back to the show, everyone. It's your host, Danny Haifong. As you can see, I'm in a different location, and pardon my NPR voice because I am traveling right now. But we're going to get right to the news because the news has been absolutely stunning. Hit the like button as you come on to watch this program today. Let us begin with what has happened in the last 24 hours to Israel. Iran's massive strike on not just Dimona, but also Arad. These strikes together have caused massive damage. And remind you, Dimona is the location, a small city, I believe only 11 or so square miles big. It is the location of the infamous nuclear facility where it is said the production of about 80 to 200 nuclear warheads have been produced over the decades of Israel's existence. So this was a massive strike, and it was in retaliation to hours before this, Israel reporting and Iran reporting that Israel had attempted to strike the Natanz nuclear facility uh, of Iran. And Iran now noted that this facility was not damaged to the extent where there's any leaks or anything of this sort. So Iran hit back hard, and it hit back in a way that absolutely shocked Israel because as Iran did this, and I'm going to show the images in a second, the the Iranian military declared that it has full control over Israel's airspace because you may recall that Dimona has been talked about by Israel and by the world as one of the most heavily fortified installations inside of the settler colony. So this is a massive hit to be able to strike Dimona in this way. It shows, as Iran has said, that air defense systems are indeed collapsing all across the colony, but especially even in these hard hit areas. Here are just some of the images that have come up in Dimona and in Arad. The casualties are extensive. There in Arad alone, there was 100, I believe, casualties and 6 killed. And overall, Iran is saying there were over 200 casualties, and Israel is saying that these are going up every single minute to the day, where more and more people are being hospitalized and found in the rubble. So this is the situation right now for Israel. It is incredibly dire. They're getting desperate. The mainstream media in Israel, Israel Hayom, Channel 12, they are saying that Israel is not setting the pace of this war, but Iran is. This is a massive change in the situation in the war. And Iran declared in this wave, this is wave 73. We're in wave 74 right now. Central Israel is being hit. Tel Aviv is being hit. Ben Gurion Airport is being hit by Arash drones. I mean, this is a massive escalation by Iran going up the ladder in a very strategic manner to demonstrate that it has full control now over Israel's airspace. So, in this wave, though, Iran noted that what has been reported is the Karashmar 4 missile hit uh, Arad and Dimona, that was the missile that struck him. Now, Arad in particular is very notable because it is being reported by Israeli media that just one single Karashmar 4 missile caused all of this damage. So it wasn't a huge volley. It wasn't a barrage of missiles. There was a barrage of missiles that were firing in the area, but one missile caused the 100 casualties and the 8 killed in this action. Now, uh, Israel has tried to frame this. Mind you, you've probably been paying attention to how this war has been talked about, but Israel has been framing these attacks by Iran, these retaliatory attacks, as against civilians. You cannot argue this in Dimona because Dimona is a heavily secured, fortified site where nuclear scientists, researchers, and military personnel are housed. Nobody else. You're not allowed in the Dimona area. You can't just live in the Dimona research facility vicinity. Iran didn't hit a nuclear reactor. They weren't attempting to cause a nuclear disaster at this moment. But what they did was they showed that they can do it, and they can do it at any single moment from here. So this is a massive escalation. It's also a massive example of how Iran is every single day in this war now. It cannot be hidden that it is actually seizing the initiative. It has the advantage in many ways. Doesn't matter how many civilians that are, Israel and the United States are attempting to kill and killing each and every day. We are seeing that air defenses are collapsing in Israel, and we are seeing that the United States has and Israel have no solution toward Iran's strategy. They cannot stop it, and they are not stopping it. Now, I want to just talk to you about Dimona in particular. To be able to hit Dimona is not only a historic feat in the sense that it is demonstrating to the world that Israel's heavily fortified nuclear facility is very vulnerable and can be hit at any time, but this facility is subject to the controversy of Israel's ambiguity about nuclear weapons. Now, this facility was built with the assistance of the French in the mid 1950s, 1957, about, and it has been subject to a lot of scrutiny, even by the United States itself in 67. They conducted an inspection of this. The US State Department's Bureau of Intelligence and Research, they pointed to the production of plutonium at this site, and they said Israel at this time possessed a nuclear weapon. Now, also, you may not remember that in the year of 1979, the apartheid regime in South Africa and Israel conducted a nuclear weapons test that has not been confirmed by anybody. No one has confirmed it officially, but there were at the time the incident of this double flash that was detected over the South Atlantic. It stirred suspicions that there were tests being conducted between Israel and South Africa from what was happening at the Dimona facility. The Stockholm International Institute for Peace Research concluded that in 2025, Israel possessed at least 80 nuclear warheads, and they are being produced at that facility. This is massive. This shows that Iran, and I've said this, if Iran is going to be, if there's going to be, if it's going to be threatened by a Samson option, because the US and Israel cannot defeat Iran is going to need to show that it can hit this facility faster than Israel can mobilize its nuclear weapons. And it just did that because there were no air defense systems anywhere to be found. I mean, this is an absolute game changer. And it shows that there is no way that Israel can counter at this time what Iran is doing. So this is a massive development. At least 1,000 Israelis have been displaced alone at this time, and according to Israeli media now, there's at least been 4,000 to 5,000 injured, and there have been at least that many displaced as well. And Israel is a very small country. It is not Iran. It is only it is a fraction of the size of Iran. I believe less than 15 times the size of Iran, or about 14, 15 times the size of Iran, smaller than Iran. So Israel is in big trouble at this moment. But as this is all happening, right? Donald Trump is going through a massive panic. I don't know if you've seen the reports that now Donald Trump is alleviating sanctions on Iranian oil. Iran hit right back and said, "We don't have any oil to sell you." Now Donald Trump is threatening an ultimatum on Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in the next 2 days. As of this recording, it's less than 2 days now. So 2 days from the time he posted this on Truth Social, um, uh, that's Dimona. But here's what he posted on Truth Social: if Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours at this exact point in time, the United States of America will hit and obliterate various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So that's what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said he's going to hit the biggest power plants in Iran and turn the lights out, essentially. Well, has Iran wavered? Have they budged? No. Actually, what Iran did, according to sources, they have said, say goodbye to electricity all across the Gulf. So I don't know if you can zoom in on this, but this just goes over all of the various points that the IRGC said targets they would hit if their energy facilities are targeted, if their electrical grid is targeted. So this includes, of course, the Ras Laffan in Qatar, which has already been hit, which has already been devastated. This incredibly important gas power facility has been damaged beyond belief. There's talks that it's not going to be able to uh, come back into operation at all in months and then years before it can get back to its capacity before the war. Because just a few days ago, Iran hit Qatar's energy, they hit Saudi plants, they hit Kuwaiti oil. They went absolutely ballistic with their hypersonic missiles on these facilities after Israel hit South Pars, and the United States, of course, hit South Pars. They work together always. So this is what Iran is promising. It's promising to turn out the lights. And it's not only promising to turn out the lights on the Gulf region, but it's also making note. The Speaker of the Parliament said, and I'll read what he said. He said, immediately after power plants and infrastructure in our country are targeted, the critical infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and oil facilities throughout the region will be considered legitimate targets and will be destroyed in an irreversible manner, and the price of oil will remain high for a very long time. Throw down what is in your right hand, it will swallow up what they have made. So, this is the Speaker of the Parliament in Iran making a very clear promise to the United States and Israel and the Gulf if they participate in this escalation. So you have now Iran declaring dominance over the skies of Israel. In the videos, which I won't pull up here because of I don't want the connection. I don't have the best connection right now, so I want to make sure that you know in the videos everywhere that you can see all over X of Iranian hypersonic missiles devastating Dimona, devastating Iran. There's no air defenses going up. Radars, we're being told, it's minutes. And Israelis themselves are absolutely freaking out. They're in shelters every single minute of every single day because Iran's waves now are coming in more frequent uh, more frequently now. So you have at least three, four, five in a single day. So that means three, four, five radars being going off. Israelis having to rush to the bomb shelters, and right now they're just staying. So this is a disaster for Israel. They're essentially out of air interceptors. The United States is trying to increase the amount of money that they are investing in this war, essentially to continue the war, continue to arm Israel, etc. And it's likely not going to work. And we even have rumors that Donald Trump, according to Axios, is attempting to formulate a peace plan in order to stop this war, in order to get an off ramp to this war. But if you read what Axios said, the points in the peace plan that he is going to push to Iran at a certain point. I think Iran continues to ignore Donald Trump's request and his administration's request to talk. But if you read what they're saying, they're trying to get Iran to pause all missile production for at least 5 years and then eventually agree to no missiles at all. Of course, destroy and stop all uranium enrichment. It's the same old demands, and it just demonstrates that Trump is desperate and he has essentially put himself into a corner where there is no off ramp anymore. There really isn't. The only off ramp that is going to exist at this time is the one that Iran offers. And Iran is offering pretty specific terms for what it wants in the closure of this war. And I just want to read what the spokesperson for the Iranian military has said. He said, following previous warning, any attack on Iran's fuel and energy infrastructure will trigger strikes on all U.S. and Israeli energy, IT, and desalination facilities in the region. So this is going far beyond oil. Iran, with the Dimona strike, demonstrated that it is willing to hit the most sensitive, supposedly most heavily fortified area, nuclear production facility, this facility that is known to house the secret capabilities, the Samson option, all of it right there. Iran is willing to hit that, and it's a massive development. It's huge. Now, uh, now, Iran's largest power plant for Donald Trump, uh, it only supplies 2.9% of total power in Iran. So, Iran is a heavily decentralized electrical grid, and these threats ultimately may backfire in a huge way because it is the Gulf countries, it is Israel, it is the region itself that relies heavily on desalination plants and a centralized electrical grid uh, that is dependent upon the very energy that Iran has already demonstrated it can hit all across the region, from Kuwait to Qatar to Saudi Arabia to Bahrain. The options for Iran are limitless, while the United States and Israel have to essentially gamble that any single strike on Iran's electrical grid will cause the lights to go out and the population to rebel and for a collapse to essentially happen. Fantasy. This is complete and utter fantasy. The shape of this war right now is this: the United States and Israel, they are targeting civilians. They are trying to pressure. We've heard Scott Besson literally say that they have supposedly targeted Iranian officials inside of the country who are willing to turn. And it's all about the economic pain that is going to be caused by the devastation the US is trying to wreak on the country that will lead to massive changes. And all we've seen is people on the streets still to this day, Iranians continuing to be on the streets. It doesn't matter how many airstrikes go over their head from Israel and the United States, they are on the streets. But these airstrikes are becoming more and more dangerous. We reported here just a couple of days ago that a US F 35 was downed. So, Iran able to hit nuclear sites in Dimona, the nuclear site in Dimona, able to hit Arad, which is right by the nuclear site, essentially able to uh, hit wherever it wants in Israel. And then you have the question of, well, what about the US's air superiority? Because the US F 35 hit a couple of days ago was admitted by CENTCOM to be struck by Iranian fire. What does that mean? Air defenses. Iran still has air defenses. And according to Iran, in the last hours before this show came on, they have hit a US F 15 on the border of the Strait of Hormuz. So the Strait of Hormuz border, there was, according to Iran, a F-15 hovering into Iranian airspace, and it was hit. Now I can only show you the image of what they released. So this is from Iran. Take it from what you will. They released of them targeting, and in the video, you see the air defense hit, and they say that this F-15 was downed. We don't have official confirmation yet from the United States. We only have what Iran is saying, but you know we should get that confirmation from the United States in the coming hours. This is all forming a picture. This is what I want to impart to you in these updates, is not just that Iran's nuclear site, the air defense is all this, that is all collapsing. The nuclear site in Dimona is vulnerable. Israel knows it. Israel is saying that Iran is setting the pace for this war. In the United States, with its threats, with Donald Trump's threats, it's going to obliterate the electrical grid of Iran. Iran is saying, okay, do it. We have the ability to hit you too, and it's going to hurt you even more, because oil prices are the exact reason why Donald Trump is panicking, seeking peace talks, seeking to obliterate Iran. There is no consistency here. The overall agenda of the United States is in shambles because it has gambled on this war, as according to friends of the show like Richard Medhurst and others, who are saying that the United States is going to gain energy dominance out of this in certain areas like gas, etc. This was a trend for the United States for years and years and years. It's energy independence, all of this. But the world economy, it while the petrodollar, of course, runs on oil production and gas and all of this, the entirety of the global economy is going to reach a level, if Iran continues this, of crisis that will be far beyond 2008, that the United States itself, empire, will not be able to sustain the consequences of it, and we will see the United States wanting to tap out. That's why we're seeing this inconsistency. The U.S. Ruling class, these warmongers, they are both trying to speed up the destruction of Iran. They're trying to destroy Iran completely and entirely, while also attempting to get out of this because they know it's all about time. The time is ticking for Wall Street. The time is ticking for the entirety of the U.S. economy. They eventually will pull the plug because of the panic that a major U.S. military defeat will bring. And this is where we are. It's a massive defeat. We're still waiting on the thousands of Marines that are coming into play in the coming days, if not weeks now. The Gerald Ford, you might have seen the reports, that is out for 2 weeks. That is no longer able to sit out in the Mediterranean and defend Israel anymore. That's gone. That had to leave. Why? Because there was some 30-hour fire, suspicious, huh? 30-hour fire that just devastated the ship and now it's no longer functional. That's how fragile US power right now is. The empire is. These weapons that we say are so magnificent, the wonder weapons, all of this, they are being shown by Iran to be not only vulnerable, but in many ways defeatable. They are able to be beaten. The downing of the F-15, the downing of the F-35, the downing by Iraqi air defenses, the KC-135s, they're vulnerable. And now with the F-15, what this is demonstrating too, and what we have talked about on this show, is that the US and Israel have actually been using certain missile systems that have the ability, the Jerichos, et cetera, to stand off. You can fire them, right? You can fire them from a very far distance outside of Iranian air defense capabilities, right? The Iranian air defense can't get them if they're too far away, if they're hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away. And these missiles, like the Tomahawk, have a range of thousands of kilometers. Now they're running out of these missiles. They have to creep in. They're on the border of the Strait of Hormuz, and they are getting hit. We're almost seeing every 24 hours a new U.S. aircraft getting hit. Again, the vulnerability is exposed for the world to see. And the institution of ground troops is only going to make it worse. So now Donald Trump is panicking and wanting to do something absolutely unthinkable in the eyes of the world, which is to target now power electrical grids, to continue this escalation ladder from oil energy now to electrical energy. Now everything will be on the table. And Iran is saying, go ahead. We have the capacity to hit you back and to hit you back in a way that will damage you far more than us. The Center for Responsible Statecraft, they published a study that the U.S. can do nothing about Iran's energy capabilities, in large part because Iran has been sanctioned for many years. And what did that do? It created the need to independently develop an electrical and energy system that is centered on keeping the Iranian nation going and alive. So I just want to reiterate that the reports right now out of Israel are really bad. That there's over 2,700 Israelis alone being displaced from this war. Now, 1,000 alone in the last 24 hours evacuated from Dimona and from Arad because of these strikes. And so Iran has not been bluffing from the very beginning. They have said that they are going to go through with their strategy, Operation True Promise 4. They're going to go up the escalated ladder, that they have a strategic plan, and that they have been building this up for many years, especially after the many instances where the United States used negotiations as a weapon of war to start a war. So this is a very dangerous game that the United States is playing. Iran has given now very hardline demands, which the U.S. cannot possibly accept without accepting defeat. And the fact that Iran is confident in sending these demands while conducting its operations shows exactly where the initiative is. Remember, war is not just about war. It's not about just the big bang weapons. It's not just about what Iran can do versus what the U.S. can do and Israel can do. It's about also what is the uh, what is the condition, the stability, and the character of the players involved, and what does it say about the foundations of these players involved in the war. And what we are seeing is massive instability coming from the Trump administration, coming from Israel, coming from the Gulf states. They're coming together and they're huddling around. They're saying, we're going to enter the war against you, Iran. We're going to, we're going to get even more involved. And Iran is saying, you've been involved. You've been involved. And now the Wall Street Journal is saying they've been involved. They're saying HIMARS have been fired from Qatar. They're saying missiles have been fired from Bahrain. They're saying this is all coming out now, right? What Iran has been saying is now being verified as truth. This isn't me. This isn't me just saying, "Oh, Iran said this and it's the truth." No, now Western mainstream media like the Wall Street Journal are coming out and saying, "Well, Iran said that they were parties to this war." The mainstream media, CNN, everyone tried to lecture the Iranian officials and say, uh, you're targeting energy facilities. That's not a military target." And then Iran goes right back, you've targeted us. You've targeted these exact kinds of facilities to cripple us. So we are going to target you right back. And Iran's demands, listen to these demands, okay, because this is critical to understand. These demands are guarantee of no future wars, closure of US military bases in the region, compensation for Iran, ending the wars on all fronts in the region, and a new legal regime for the Strait of Hormuz, as well as extraditing elements of hostile media to Iran. Because Iran says you have Iranian nationals inside of Iran spreading, inside the United States, inside of other countries, promoting in the region, promoting and spreading hostilities to Iran, and they are our jurisdiction. But these demands are shocking because they do reveal the complete and utter bankruptcy of the US's overall position and posture in the region, as well as Israel's. Guarantee of no future wars. Do you think the Trump administration in the United States and Israel can do that? That means admitting defeat. Closure of military bases in the region? Well, that's a precondition for the no future wars because US military presence has to get out in order to guarantee that no war is going to come on Iran. Compensation to Iran? Well, 10,000, 15,000. We don't even know the exact number now. Uh, a number of civilian targets have been hit, infrastructure. We've seen not only South Pars, but we've seen southern Tehran oil facilities. We've seen destruction being laid upon Iran. So compensation, yeah, compensation is needed in order to repair those things. End wars on all fronts in the region. Now, this is the critical one because this is a regional war. And so what Iran just did to Dimona, what it just did to Iraq, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We've seen in the last 24 hours, Hezbollah is hitting Israel hard, not just on the ground in Israel's attempted ground invasion, but it's also hitting Israel hard in the air. It is sending rockets, ballistic missiles itself onto central Israel, into northern Israel, and it is wreaking havoc. Iraq, the Iraqi resistance, in just 24 hours, 21 operations. They are hitting the US embassy hard. They are hitting US bases hard. And NATO is gone. There's no more NATO in Iraq. They have left. They said we had to figure out a different mission. We had to ensure that that we recalibrate our mission, and they left. You saw Polish troops, you saw others. They left. NATO's gone. So the Iraqi resistance has evicted NATO in Iraq. This is going disastrously. And Yemen has said, try it, Gulf states. Try it, Saudi. Try it. We will hit you right back. And you know the Houthis, Ansarallah, they're itching to get back into a struggle against Saudi Arabia, which has never provided restitution for the massive crimes that Saudi Arabia and the UAE as well committed inside of Yemen during that war that caused one of the biggest humanitarian catastrophes in the world. In 2014, it was noted that Yemen was suffering the worst humanitarian catastrophe in the world, in one of the worst in history that have been recorded before Gaza. So uh, this is a big deal for Yemen, and so they're going to get involved in this war as well. So this is a massive situation that is on our hands. The escalations continue. We are seeing uh, Iran continue to pursue its strategy. We are seeing a new phase of this war come about. We are seeing a new phase occur where uh, there are no red lines. Iran, and these aren't these aren't red lines that are being violated by Iran. It is the United States, it is Israel that continue to cross red lines that they're creating for themselves, and that Iran is escalating in kind through through their strategy of ensuring that any hit against them is felt by the United States and Israel in kind, in their own way, in a way that is more significant than what is happening to Iran, because Iran has said Iran lost. I don't even know the exact numbers, but during the Iran uh, Iraq war, Iran lost an untold number of people. They were subject to chemical weapons attacks by U.S. provided chemical weapons. Uh, Hundreds of thousands, millions of people were put in the line of fire by that war, and ever since, Iran has been subject to these attacks by the United States and by Israel. And so they've been preparing to suffer consequences that they believe are deemed absolutely worth the defense of sovereignty and the capacity and the continued developing capacity to push back the empire. And so that's why this really does matter. This really does matter what just happened in Dimona, what just happened in Arad, what is happening all across the region. Iran is not bluffing anymore. In just less than a week, Iran has shown that it can hit energy facilities whenever it wants all across the region. From refinement now going into the actual exporting of these products, and that it can hit the most sensitive, most heavily fortified um, area of Israel, the Dimona nuclear facility, which at any point could turn into a nuclear disaster. And now it's promising it can hit all the electrical grids of the entire region, and as well, if they want to go this far, because there have been rumors that Israel and the United States may try to target water facilities and other civilian infrastructure like this. They've said that they can hit desalination plants too, which Iran does not depend on, but the United States and Israel do. So this has massive implications. We are seeing the Strait of Hormuz continue to be closed. Iran is now imposing a toll. They're saying they're going to impose a toll. They are going to only reopen it to those who they will allow to go through with coordination from the countries involved and Iran. So Iran is dictating terms here. Iran has full control of the Strait of Hormuz, and it just down an F-15, according to Iran, to show exactly how much control it has. Uh, I think what some people miss, because I see that there are those saying that, well, the United States here is going to run away with massive profits in the energy field because higher energy prices actually benefit the US because of the US's gas dominance. And they've been doing this with Nord Stream, they've been doing this all over the world, Venezuela. And yes, this is true. The United States is going to run away with massive profits in the form of their monopolies, their energy monopolies. Uh, that's very temporary. The stability of the global economy, that is long term. Iran is exercising long term pain, right? You heard it with mainstream media, short term pain for the long term gain. Iran is instituting long term pain for the US monopolies, the oils, the Epstein class, all for their short-term gain. Yeah, they'll gain a little bit now. They don't care about that Iranians or Israelis or anybody. They'll make a lot of money off of this. They already are. These higher prices are going to lead to massive windfall profits in the short term. But in a week from now, 2 weeks from now, April, we might be seeing a catastrophic recession come into place, which will have massive political effects. They're not invincible. The United States, Israel, they are not invincible, and they are showing exactly how vulnerable they are every single day, the longer that these operations continue. So, without further ado, everybody, this is the update I wanted to provide you because we are in a moment of historic proportions. We are seeing uh, this escalation lead to, I think, a huge shift in the world situation. We're going to ultimately see while the U.S. Monopolies may come out as short-term winners of this disaster, we are going to see Israel is not going to come out as a winner. There's some who believe that. Some I've had on my program believe Israel is a long-term winner. No, I believe that Israel is going to be damaged in a way that is not only going to harm its reputation, but it's also going to harm its capabilities. Iran will make sure of that. Uh, Not to mention the fact that we are now seeing that the resistance is far stronger than what was assumed by Israel itself, right? When Hezbollah entered the war, oh, wow, we didn't know that Hezbollah could come in with this kind of ferocity. I don't think that uh, uh, Israel itself understood what kind of vulnerable position it was in this entire time. That, yeah, when you go for maximum expansionism toward greater Israel, any kind of imperial project of this nature, you could run into a wall, and that wall is the people. And now people are going to be incredibly hardened. They're going to learn massive lessons from this. If Iran is forced to take the actions that Donald Trump is essentially uh, pushing Iran to take, well, then people all over the region are going to learn the lesson that the United States and Israel caused the most catastrophic humanitarian crisis in the region. And many have already learned this lesson from what's happened in Gaza, what continues to happen in Gaza, in Lebanon, and of course, this war in Iran, which has killed thousands of civilians. So someone asked, what will Iran demand from the Zionists to end the war? From the Zionists, Israel can't really give anything, right? And that's why they're going to demand everything from the United States, because unlike much of the world right now, and even people watch this show, there's a lot of people believe, Israel controls the United States, but it's the United States that controls the petrodollar, and it has hegemony in the world to a certain degree. It's waning, it's fading, but it does have hegemony in the world. And that's why Iran is only going to deal with the United States. There's no negotiating with Israel. Israel can't provide anything. Israel's a tiny, tiny, tiny colony with a military that can only get into U.S. Supported or provided jets, can only do Mossad operations like the pager attacks. It does not have the capabilities not only to do anything on its own. It can't defeat Iran on its own. It can't defeat Hezbollah on its own. It can't defeat anybody on its own. But also, it has nothing to offer. Really, the only thing it can offer is the end of its existence. That's what it can offer. And the only way that that happens is, of course, if people make that happen. And then, of course, the United States gets out of the region. So actually, what Iran is demanding is exactly this. It has demanded that U.S. military presence leave, all regional wars end. And what does this amount to? Right? Just what I listed there in terms of Iranian demands, what do they amount to? They amount to not only the end of U.S. military presence and U.S. dominance in the region, they also amount to the end of Israel, because Israel cannot survive without the U.S.'s full-throated support for it and all of the installations, the control of the Gulf countries, all of this. Without that, there is no more Israel. Israel will cease to exist. And so these are demands that the U.S. can't meet. And so we're going to see in the coming days. Just expect it. Just mark it down. You're going to see Donald Trump go back and forth, the Trump administration go back and forth with panicked responses. Eventually, the realities are going to set in, though. Iran can hit wherever it wants. Iran is not out of missiles. All the data shows that Iran's drone and missile attacks are not necessarily subsiding, but they are increasing and decreasing based on what Iran wants to do. And Iran has said they can do this for 6 months to a year, and we are now getting very close to a full month, and there's no indications, no leaks, no nothing, saying that Iran is running out of weapons and becoming short on its on its arsenal. Nothing, no indications of this. Lots of indications all over the Western mainstream media, though. You might have heard of uh, U.S. air defense shortages. THAAD has been destroyed in the region, right? Everything that has happened up until this point informs what is happening now. All the radars that have been destroyed, at least 8. So that means that interceptors are not even accurate. They can't detect what's coming to them. And we know that Iran has also destroyed entire THAAD systems in the region during this war. So the U.S. and Israel are heavily depleted. They are finding themselves in a situation that they didn't think they would be in. They didn't think they would be in a situation where they would be in a dogfight. This was supposed to be 3 to 4 days. when this started, February 28th, 3 to 4 days. We are getting close to the month-long period, and right now, as we speak, Iran is hitting central Israel, Iran is hitting Kuwait, Iran is hitting bases all across the region, and Iran is getting ready. If the U.S. makes due on its promise in the next 24 to 36 hours, it's getting ready to hit the entire electrical grid and energy systems of the Gulf countries. So this is just the objective equation here. This is not, oh, rah, 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 Iran. Iran doesn't need that. Iran is doing what it has to do to survive, to defend its sovereignty. Iranian people are out in the streets defending their sovereignty and saying that they want to end to the war. People all across the region are getting involved. I don't know if you saw the lines that are happening in Iran by men to join the military. That's not happening in the US. There are rumors that there are deployment orders for the 82nd Airborne Division and that these naval assets are going to be used by the United States to try to invade Karg Island and occupy it, or that they're going to be used to try to forcibly open the Strait of Hormuz. And well, the fate of that F-15 kind of demonstrates what's going to happen if the U.S. sends ground troops to Iran. It'll be a catastrophic disaster. It'll be so much more rapid and so much more shocking than anything the U.S. has ever faced in Afghanistan and Iraq. Vietnam was a protracted guerrilla war by the Vietnamese people to extract and get rid of U.S. military presence, and of course the invading, bombs and aircraft and everything that was happening at that time, killing, hundreds of thousands, millions of civilians at a time over the course of over a decade. This will be a lot faster because Iran, they have drones, they have missiles, and they have men. They have a huge military that they've promised is going to create pain. It's going to create pain for the U.S. forces, the invading forces. So this is the war that the United States essentially asked for. This is the one that they asked for. This is the one that they said was the right time, right? It was the right time to do this because Iran was on the brink, the protests, Venezuela, everything was coming into place for the United States, but it miscalculated. Massive miscalculation. Now it's all over the mainstream media. Just Google search Iran, and you'll see article after article after article panicking about U.S. miscalculation, miscalculating people's support for Iran, miscalculating Iran's military capabilities, miscalculating the U.S.'s power in the region, miscalculating Israel's capabilities. We can go on and on and on, but it's all pointing in the same direction. And so, the news is going to continue to develop fast here, and we're going to cover it here, over the course of the days and hours and to come, because right now the United States is trying to double down. They're trying to keep this war going. But every single day, the holes are becoming more and more clear. The images of Iranian cluster submunitions from the Krashmar 4, the fact that we're not seeing any images of U.S. Israeli interceptors going up, and now we have Dimona nuclear facility targeted. The town, right, is a nuclear facility town. It is heavily fortified. No air defense interceptors went up. Israel's investigating this, saying, oh, we don't know why this happened. Well, Iran is telling you, and the world is watching and seeing that it's likely that you don't have anything left to fire back with. So, yeah, the operation will continue. The operation will continue. The war will continue. I just want to make sure I thank everyone for watching this show, more brief show than the shows often are. Ultimately, just take the conclusion that, if you are very high up on the U.S. empire right now, if you believe that this operation was going to be successful, is successful right now, if you believe that the empire has a future, if you believe that these windfall gas profits, temporary in nature, are going to lead to the stability of its economic system, out of this war, all of the signs point to the opposite, especially given that military humiliation, some have said, is a price that the U.S. can pay, the U.S. elites can pay. I think you're underestimating just how important it is for the U.S. to be the most militarily superior, at least looking country, and the most exceptional country in the world to portray that image and purvey that image. You don't underestimate that. Can't underestimate that. But everyone, hit the like button as you leave here today. These updates will continue to roll in. I want to thank everyone who gave a super chat. Thanks so much. And be on the lookout now for what Donald Trump does with this ultimatum. He's made ultimatums like this in the past, but Iran has shown that it is very much ready to continue onward. So everyone, hit the like button before you go. Video description is where you can support this channel, Patreon, Substack, and much more. And until next time,